Like, he was doing things that were just badass.
That was one of the coolest moments of my life.
I was really scared, but knowing that Dan had the gun, I did have the rifle, like, we would be okay.
All right, guys, welcome to today's show. And on the show with me today, I've got Zach Hopper, and he is with Buck Gardner Calls. He reached out on social media, and I was like, man, I would love to have this guy on. I think a Buck Gardner call was my first duck call ever. So I was like, man, this will be cool, kicking it old school, kind of how I started with waterfowl hunting. So thanks for hopping on the show with me.
Yeah, glad to be here. Excited about it.
Yeah. Why don't you start out by just telling everybody kind of who you are, a little bit about yourself and what you do right now in the outdoor world.
Okay. Yeah. So my name is Zach, like you previously said. I work at Buck Gardner Calls in Memphis, Tennessee. I started as a shipping and receiving manager, and now I've kind of worked my way into the marketing role here at BGC. I graduated December 2020, from Ole Miss with a bachelor in marketing. I've been hunting as long as I could remember. As when I started walking, I was in a box blind with my dad deer hunting, and so I really started deer hunting. That's what I love to do for the longest time, and I still probably would if that's all I was optional for me to do. But I really got into bow hunting when I was probably 12 years old, and then my dad made the huge mistake of taking me to a little it was a creek, believe it or not, here in Mississippi, or down in Mississippi, where our deer camp is. And he's like, yeah, I think there's some wood ducks in here. And beginner's luck, I ended up jumping up 3 out of this creek, and with 3 shots I dropped 3 Drake wood ducks.
Oh man.
And so from then on, it was just all downhill from there. I was nothing but duck hunting. I might have been deer hunting. I think I've been deer hunting, like actually sat down deer hunting twice since I was about 12, and I'm 23 now. So
wow.
It's nothing but ducks for me.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Waterfowl hunting, that kind of took over for me as a passion for a while. And then I gained access once I moved down to Missouri to some whitetail property. And it's the first time I've ever been able to like manage property and track deer and all that. But waterfowl hunting, I mean, there's nothing like it in the outdoor industry. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's like an electrifying feeling every time you're out in the blind or in the reeds. I love it.
Yeah.
What
there's nothing I'd rather do at all.
What's
the
your
spring
favorite?
turkey hunting? Spring turkey hunting is it's a good substitute. You know, since I can't shoot at a duck or a goose,
Yeah.
I'll happily shoot at a turkey. But
what's your favorite species to go after? Like, if you had to hunt one bird for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Man, this is going to be so typical, but you cannot beat a mallard duck, whether it's in a flooded field, a marsh, in the woods. Like, there's just nothing like shooting a big fat greenhead.
Yeah, man, there is something about those birds. Like, I haven't had an opportunity to hunt a whole lot of wood ducks, and I love the way that wood ducks look, the way they taste, the way they fly, everything about them. But you're right. Like,
very much so.
Greenheads, when they come in and they're back flapping and you just see every color in the rainbow on their head, on their wing, and I mean, even on their feet.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it.
I guess that's why every company is geared towards a mallard duck.
Yeah.
That's just, there is nothing better. I love shooting a wood duck. I love shooting teal, the fast flying bird. Come in there and you even got your gun up, and they're in and out. But you know, and they eat. You know, probably a wood duck and a teal, gadwall, pintail. They all eat, in my opinion, better than a mallard duck does. Maybe that's just what they're eating around where I'm hunting at the time, something like that. But yeah, I'll eat them all. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I tell you what, speckle belly. I've gotten into goose hunting the last several years. A speck, you know, it's close to finishing a mallard as far as the level of excitement for me. The giggle chickens, you know, as they call them, they're very vocal and responsive. So that's really cool too.
I That's one thing I haven't done. I haven't branched out a ton into the different types of waterfowl hunting. I mean, I grew up in Wisconsin. I was able to hunt all across the state, the Mississippi River. I mean, that was like where I cut my teeth on waterfowl hunting. And then Lake Michigan, we've hunted on the beach of Lake Michigan in fields a mile away, and it's been awesome. Moving down to Missouri, we got into a couple more divers, but not many. Like, I think I shot my first, trying to think, I shot my first of a lot of ducks here in Missouri, but the part of Missouri we're in, the birds just kind of like split and they go towards the Mississippi, or they go to Kansas and hit the cornfields and big ag. And so I've got to go like an hour and a half in any direction to really get into good waterfowl hunting.
Yeah.
What's it like in Tennessee?
Well, I'm born and raised in Mississippi. I was born in a town called Batesville, or that's where I grew up, Batesville, Mississippi. If you're anywhere familiar with the Mississippi area, it's probably 20 minutes west of Oxford, Mississippi, where I went to college at Ole Miss. Great place. I'll just throw that out there because I'm a little biased to that town over there in Oxford. But I do hunt mostly in Mississippi. I have a lease and have had one for the last couple years down in an area called Crowder, Mississippi. And there's several spots in the Mississippi Delta that are just hot spots. And it's kind of touch and go, but Crowder, Mississippi is a mecca for ducks as far as the state of Mississippi. You've got a guy that goes by his land is called the York Woods, and it's been known as the York Woods for many years. It used to be public. You used to could hunt it way back in the day, and now it's a guy that he's like, I think the richest man in the state of Georgia. Owns this just absolutely pristine duck hunting land. He's acquired a bunch of land in that area, but you also have a very popular refuge over there, the Little Coldwater River Refuge, and it just holds. I mean, today's middle of September. I'd say in a month it's probably about to start loading up, even as far south as it is. If there's water on it, there's every duck in the area is going to be there at some point, both the refuge and his land. So it's right there. I'm in the middle of both areas. So I think the York Woods is about 3 miles south, and then that refuge is about 2 miles east from our exact location for our blind. So
okay,
it's
what does that look like to have a lease? I mean, I know I hear about it a lot in some of the southern states, like where I'm at. We just hunt public land, or, we've got a farmer that lets us use it. But I know a lot of places they run off of a lease deal. Is that just basically renting the field?
Well, yeah, in a lot of cases, I kind of have this is a different type of lease. I'm in with some pretty good folks down there. It's a guy that he owns the land, and all he wants out of the people in the lease is help. A little financially, a lot of work, because he can't do it all by himself. He's just as avid of a duck hunter as me. He's been doing it way longer than me. He's, very knowledgeable about it, and all he wants is the help, trying to grow the place he has and stuff like that. So it's really not like, it wasn't me and my friends that went in. It was just me. I met them through dog training, really. Like, I knew of them just because they're kind of around my area where I grew up. But I think one of them reached out because they saw that I was training my dog. They had a dog. We ended up training together, and that relationship kind of formed from there. So nice. It's a pretty special place. Last several years, it's been tough around here, and that's for everybody, no matter where you're really at. And as far as the Mississippi Delta, there was days we did very well, but there was a lot of days where we would walk out with no ducks. I mean, no ducks, one duck, out of, say, upwards of 9 people, we'd walk out with 4 ducks. I mean, it's been very tough.
That sounds like every day here where we hunt.
Yeah. But like you said, I grew up hunting public land. Like, even at our deer camp that we own, my family owns, we just hunt the public land, and that's where I cut my teeth, is public land. And I never will back down from going to a public land spot. Like, I had this lease, but the opening day of season here or in Mississippi, I slept on the ground all night with some of my buddies on some public land.
Yeah.
So I'll never back down from that. That's memories sometimes you can't make on private land, is sleeping on the cold ground with a little fire with your buddies.
With some
Just talking about what might happen.
making sure nobody else sneaks into your spot.
Yeah, and that day was just, it was tough to say the least. It didn't matter that we were there. We had people setting up on top of us anyway, so
Yeah.
it wasn't very eventful.
We just ran into that with dove hunting here. Opening day of dove hunt is kind of a big ordeal at the spot that we go to. And we got out there, and there was this patch of sunflowers like right in the middle of a field. Perfect spot to hunt.
Mm-hmm.
And some guys had come out the night before, taped electrical tape glow sticks to the top of all the sunflowers all the way around, and then left. And we're like, are you serious? Like, you can't just come out and put a bunch of glow sticks out and reserve your spot for the morning, go home and sleep, you know?
Wow.
Like, we got out there early. I think we walked out to the field at 2 a.m. and there were already other people coming out. But I mean, it's a killer spot for doves. And those guys came back out and they weren't too thrilled because we took all their glow sticks down and threw their tape away and put everything in a white bucket.
Rightfully so. How is y'all's dove season going so far?
It's been good. I mean, we went out opening day, and that's really all I've had time to do as far as dove goes. And it was actually a pretty slow year. They changed up the layout of the field. It was public land. They changed the layout of the field, probably took like 70% of the sunflowers away, and it was all beans where those were. And so they kind of pushed everyone into about a third of the property. And the doves were coming in, but on public land, I mean, they've got signs all over that says 45 degrees or higher so that nobody's like ground swatting them. And I could have had my limit probably in the first hour and a half if it was like private land, because these birds were coming in. We had birds landing 5 feet in front of our feet, but they flew in out of the trees and stayed about 3 to 5 feet off the ground all the way in. And so like, I'm yelling. I mean, my voice was sore by the time I left there because I'm just yelling like, too low, trying to make sure nobody's shooting and peppering each other. But it was fun. I mean, this year the conservation agents, they post up at the parking lot, so they check everybody before they leave. And they said only 2 people had limited out that morning. And I was like, dang, that's crazy, because normally we're limited by like 8 o'clock. And we're out of there. But it was slower than normal, but still great bird movement. Just a lot of missed opportunities because of how low the birds flew in.
Right. Yeah, our dove season here has been, I've only been a couple times just because I don't really have access, to a private place. And like you said, there's public places, but they pile in there. And I'm not that mad at a dove, I'll be honest with you. I'll get mad at a duck or a goose, but I ain't that mad at a dove.
No.
But I got invited to go to this immaculate dove property up in Tennessee. And, we were killing them, and they were upset because we weren't killing them fast enough. Just for reference, how good the place was. I think that hurricane we had like really early September, late August, whenever that was, that came through Louisiana, they're saying that's kind of what maybe push the birds. I don't know. But nobody around here has really done on average what they usually do.
Yeah. Are you guys
even the teal? I was out yesterday. I'm sorry.
Oh no, go ahead. I think you're about to answer my question.
Yeah, maybe so. So yesterday morning I went out with a friend before work to try to get after some teal. And we were in a spot in Mississippi that if the teal are here, they're there. I mean, it's just, every year it's just in their heads. That's just where they're going to be. And I mean, the water's right out there. It's higher than average, I think, this year. As of right now, it's a little bit up than it has been the past couple of years. I saw 2 little wads of teal the whole morning. So I don't know of many people in Mississippi that have been killing teal. I know out in Texas and probably down in Louisiana, they're smacking them like they always do. But
man, they are stacking them up. I keep seeing truck beds full, like 10 guys getting their limits on teal. And I'm like, geez, I've never had a teal hunt like that.
It's not like we went out there and just tried it. We had been scouting.
Yeah.
And we had seen a couple groups and we're like, well, we kind of got a little cool front, let's just go try it. You can't never witness too many sunrises. So we were just like, get out there and go. Can't kill them in the bed. So
yeah, for real.
We just gave it the good old college try.
Is teal season the only thing open there right now? Like teal and dove, or do you guys have early goose?
We have early goose. I've been one time this year. They are just now cutting the corn in a lot of places. And so now we're finally starting to see the bigger groups grouping up. Like a lot of people, they've already been killing a bunch because I guess they've just been where they were. But as far as where we can legally hunt and get permission to hunt, they're just now cutting corn and stuff. So we should be seeing some bigger groups now. We've seen some little family groups, but nothing worth trying to go out there and mess that whole thing up. So
yeah. Do you guys mainly hunt over corn, or are there any other crop fields that you prefer to hunt?
Well, at this point in the year, corn is the only thing being cut in our area. So, if they're when we went and hunted, we were just in grass, we were trying to hunt this low spot, and the geese, the whole flock we were watching, it was the biggest flock we had gotten on so far, and they were roosting on the water, and we weren't too far from them, and we thought we were going to get them because they came right over us and they just kept going. So I guess they had found some corn or found somewhere to feed that we weren't aware of or we couldn't get to. So that didn't work out either. So if this is any indication of my hunting year, we're not on a good start right now. Yeah,
man, the waterfowl is just so finicky because it seems like every time you're like, hey, let them finish, they don't finish and they fly away. And then
right
on the other times you're like, all right, listen, we're just going to shoot them on this pass. And then you do, and everyone yells at you because you didn't let them finish. And I'm like, at least you got to pull the trigger. We run into that all the time because the majority of the places that we hunt are public. We've got a couple real small, like private ponds, but we usually reserve those for like, if we only have an hour to hunt in the morning, we'll just kick out to a local pond, or we'll go check it and then jump shoot geese off of it because they pile in there every now and then. But
yeah,
man, birds are some of the more frustrating animals out there.
And that's all of them.
Yeah,
ducks, geese, turkey for sure. But that's what makes it so fun.
Yeah,
a deer is they're gonna walk by you or they're not. They're gonna be chasing their doe or they're not. But a duck, goose, turkey. You've got to. You're talking to them. You're trying to convince them that all these decoys around you are legit and that you sound good enough to actually put them in front of you. So that's what I love about it. Is the challenge.
Have you got into elk hunting at all?
No, being from Mississippi, obviously I don't get that chance very much, but it is definitely on my bucket list. That is, from what I was told, it's almost like if a turkey was a lot bigger as far as listening for them and then going after them. Now, I don't know anything about an elk. I'm not going to claim to, but it's definitely on my bucket list. I'll definitely get the bow out at some point when I can afford to go out there and have somebody put one in front of me.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun, and a lot of guys who like waterfowl hunting and like turkey hunting, they really do love elk hunting because it is that interaction. And you either hear them and go towards them, or you make noise and try to draw them to you, or it's a combination of the two. But
yeah,
I've done some elk hunting. We haven't called yet because typically I'm hunting late rifle season, but I can't imagine having a screaming bull in your face that you just called in from a half mile away. That would be
I've
wild.
had turkeys gobble, like right behind my tree, and that'll shake you good enough. But I couldn't imagine a big bull like that right in your face. I've heard they're really good to eat too. I've never tried one, but I've heard
they are amazing.
Some of the best. Yeah.
They really are. I love elk meat. I think moose is probably my favorite, but elk's a close second. I mean, it's like a better deer, and you get like
Okay.
5 times the meat off of it. So
Yeah. Well, I've gone to Alaska before. This was on a summer mission trip. It was outside of Anchorage, so I've seen a moose. I've never seen an
Yeah.
elk. So maybe that'll change one of these days.
yeah, you got to check it out. It's actually pretty doable, pretty reasonable. You can get over the counter tags in a lot of different states and have a pretty decent success rate, especially with the rifle. Archery,
Yeah.
it's like 3% success rate on a bull elk. So yeah, not great.
Yeah, and I hadn't shot my bow in years, so I wouldn't even know where to begin on that.
Yeah. You said you mainly hunt Mississippi. Do you travel
Yeah.
anywhere else? I mean, do you plan any
Yes.
trips or have like a weekend trip that you do every year?
Yeah, so especially as of late, getting older and having my own money to do stuff with. This year especially, I've got several trips planned, and this I guess we can get to more detail later when we start talking about BGC. But for a personal trip this year, in a couple of weeks, I'm going to Saskatchewan. That'll be my first
Nice.
time in Canada, and then we are doing a like short film series this year for BGC, where I know for sure I'm going to Oklahoma, and then probably Arkansas and possibly Utah. Not really sure about that one yet, but we're gonna have at least 3 little short hype type videos that we're putting out this year.
Nice.
We'll be filming them. I'm not sure of release dates, but we are filming this year.
Man, that's cool. You ought to come
Yeah.
up to Wisconsin sometime. We get on the birds up there with a couple different people, but it's nice when you can get farther north, because then you don't have anybody in the US getting to the birds before you. You get birds that work. I'm sure you see it down there. Like, they get call shy and decoy shy after they've been shot at, by 300 different groups. But up there early season, they finish like crazy. I know I was talking to my cousin 2 days ago, and I think their count's at like 130 something birds after the second weekend. And he's like, they just keep on coming in. He's like, we had singles, doubles, and like groups of 5 at most. And he's like, all morning long, it was just like they had never seen a decoy.
That's so awesome. Yeah, hunting down here, there's honestly no telling how many times they've been called at and seen the decoys. And I mean, we try to be different as far as at my lease. I mean, we've got, on average, obviously, as a public land hunter, you're not going to take dozens and dozens and dozens of decoys. Like, we have, I think last year our count was over 600 decoys at our lease, like, that we had out. And we always run mojos and jerk strings and stuff like that. So we try to be as different as possible, but at the same time, on those no wind days, you don't have movement 99% of your spread. So, I mean, you got the wings flashing, you got a little jerk string going, but it's, that wild duck is a lot smarter than a lot of people give them credit for.
Oh yeah.
I guess if you're hunting up north, you come down and up there and it seems easy, but they get educated. And I have a bad feeling this year is going to be tough just because of how dry up north was and how bad the nesting habitat was.
Yeah.
So from the reports, the hatch was really bad. And so there's going to be a lot of older birds, not many juvenile birds that are easy.
A bunch of experienced birds that have seen everything.
Yeah, so we might run into that problem this year, but a waterfowler always has a really good excuse for something. That might be mine this year. I don't know how it goes.
For real, we've got a buddy, and we call him the pessimist because that's him every time. Like, we go out and there's 1,000 excuses for why we haven't shot a bird. His famous line is, guys, there's no birds in Missouri. And he says that over and over and over. And we're like, dude, get out of here. Like, we might get a shot at one today. If we do, we'll all be happy. That's kind of our standard now, is if we don't get skunked, we're happy. And even if we do get skunked, if we see more than a dozen birds, we're like, yeah, hey, we actually saw a dozen birds today,
Yeah, me and my public land group, we always make the joke that our limit is one. We always at least get one, and so we're like, well, we shoot one. All right, y'all ready to go? We're done for the day. So
Yeah.
our joke between the group.
So you said you're running like 600 decoys in your spread at that lease?
Yeah, so I mean, typically, we were gonna cut it down this year to way less because we were gonna do corn, milo, and millet, but with that hurricane and we had like just torrential flooding. I think back in June, and so when we were wanting to get our corn and milo in, we were under like 3 foot of water back in our hole. So the entire delta down there was just flooded. So there was nowhere for that water to go.
Yeah.
And so it just sat there. But we were able to get millet out, and it's doing okay. It's super damp down there even right now. From that hurricane, pushed a lot of water on it too after we got the water off. So we got a work day coming up tomorrow. So I'll be down there to see for myself.
Yeah. So with the spread that size, I've been trying to pick people's brain more about how they set up their spread. And I've heard a lot of guys talk early season, they'll start it spread out, like family groups here and there. And then maybe later in the year when it gets cold out, they'll bunch them all together super tight. What do you guys do down there?
So no, I 100% agree with that. But the past few years for us anyways, we have a ton of ducks early, and then for the rest of the year it just goes downhill. The weather is just not cooperated, and there's a lot of different speculation as to what's holding the ducks up, and you got your heated ponds and all this stuff, but in reality, and I'm not taking away that could be true. I'm not from up there, I don't know, but I do know if the water is not frozen over and that food is not covered up in snow, those birds have no reason to come down that flyway, and they won't.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to get your migrators that are going to migrate anyways, but I mean, your big bunches that you used to see, like they're just, the weather, at least the past 3 years, has not been cold enough to push them down. I mean, it's as far as the snow and the ice and stuff. I mean, and like I said, I'm not putting anybody down that has opinions on the heated ponds and stuff like that. I honestly don't know anything about that, so I don't have an opinion on that. But I mean, the weather is the huge factor that plays in there. So back to the decoy spread, we go really big early, and we gradually take up decoys. Like last year, at the end of the season, we took up more than half before the end of the year. So we were probably in the 200s. But as far as that area, most people throw out a lot of decoys because that area is, every ag field has a blind. So
what we used to go out with, basically everybody would bring every decoy they had. And then we were like, hey, we're not killing any more birds doing this, and we're just breaking our backs trying to get everything in and out. And it seems like every couple of years it shifts, and we have to bounce back and forth. Like some years we'll bring out six decoys, but have 6 more that are motion decoys. And we found that to be pretty successful. And then all of a sudden, like, the motion decoys aren't working. I recently found this little boat, and it's got an alligator head on it, and it's a remote controlled boat. And I'm like, you know what? I could hollow out a duck decoy and slap that thing on there. And then I could actually just like control it and swim it around. I was like, man, I wonder if there's a way to hook up the receiver to multiple, and then you could just swim like 6 or 8 ducks around. And it looks real. It puts up that little bit of wake behind it. I'm like, I could even just put some like little rubber orange feet underneath it. I have yet to try it, but I definitely used that alligator a couple times last year, trying to just make some more movement out in the water, and it seemed to work all right.
I would love to see how that actually looks. You need
It's
to post a video or something with that when you get the ducks carved out and stuff put on them.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely do that. I had to abandon that like late season last year because it was the cheapest little RC boat that I could find. and it just didn't work by the end of the year. I ended up like walking out multiple times, like all the way up to the top of my waders, like reaching with a stick, trying to bring it back because it would just die like 10 minutes into the hunt.
Yeah.
And so I might invest in
We were
a nicer boat this year.
Yeah. Back to like your decoy spread and the motion, stuff like that. We actually did have we had a generator in the back of our blind that charged the battery. So we would run that generator when it was slow just to charge the battery up. And off that battery, we have a panel in our blind where we can we turn on our agitators, like the butt up decoys.
Yeah.
We have a lot of those hooked up to wires. I even think we had the Mojos hooked up at one point to them, but those were run off remotes. Anyways, we would flip that on, and I think we had 10 agitators throughout the spread, so that it was throwing water, and you could control like which one was doing what, if they were all going at the same time, or
Dang,
stuff like that. So we try to be as high tech as we can, but it's just a bunch of redneck rigging out there.
Yep. Oh, I'm very aware. We've talked about doing everything. We thought about running some PVC underwater, like weighing it down with cinder blocks, and then just hooking up a leaf blower inside of our blind and just like blowing bubbles through it the whole time. I've seen people who put ice eaters out, and they'll put them out even when it's already thawed out, but they'll put them out just to get that motion in the water, because those things kick up some serious water. Yeah, they do. I've
never had the need yet to use an ice heater, but we do have one. Worst comes to worst, we usually use the surface drive motor to break up the ice. Yeah, because at least in the past few years, it hasn't been cold enough to just keep refreezing. It's usually just at night when it would freeze up. Yeah, we've busted out ice holes. I don't even know how many times, using the butt of the shotgun, like you're trying to just walk through it, and you're just having to brake in front of you as you go. But I prefer hunting the cold, man. There's people who get out in this weather right now, and I'm like, dude, I just can't. I hate sweating, man. I just hate it. Yes. And being late, especially like in a layout blind, that is so uncomfortable in a layout blind at like 75, 80 degrees. No thanks. Yeah, early goose, that's what that is. You got spiders and mosquitoes crawling all over you, and you're just damp. Like there's no way to get away from it, because you're laying in there and you're just smoldering in your sweat. But honestly, if I can go out there and shoot at a goose or a teal, like I'm gonna do it. But yeah, I'm with you. No, the hot weather is not my friend. Working in the warehouse out here, and it doesn't have any AC. We got a fan blowing, but it's just blowing hot air around. I'm ready for maybe a day or two next week, but the lows are in the high 50s or something. So I'm just ecstatic for that. Oh man, that sounds like heaven. Yeah, I'm so ready for it. What's going on at BGC right now? Because I know that's where your work. You were telling me you wear like 12 different hats there. You basically run the whole operation, it sounds like. And tell me what's going on. Buck Gardner's been around forever, I feel like. He's like one of the OG waterfowl people. Yeah. Oh yeah. So I guess I'll just tell everybody this. I do, like you said, I wear a lot of different hats, but shipping and receiving, operations, warehouse, and marketing. So I kind of do all of that. I do have some help. I'm not completely alone in the operations part of things. So that's keeping people like with components to keep packaging and assembling, stuff like that, tuning. All our stuff is done in-house. There's not, obviously we don't pour the polycarbonate or pour the acrylic here, but we do get our poly stuff from Little Rock, Arkansas. And then our acrylic, we get the Spartec acrylic, or I think we're even ordering some Dead Shot. I'm not really sure. I'm not really in charge of ordering all that, but we do have, it is our 25th anniversary this year. So we've got some, like my hat, I think over here, it's got the 25th anniversary logo on it. We've got a shirt, and then just released 2 throwback limited run 25th anniversary calls, and that was 2 of Buck's like first designs. I'm sure everybody's heard of the double nasty.
Oh
That's what many people get for their first call. It was one of my first calls many years ago. And then so the double nasty and the buck brush. So the double nasty is obviously a double reed, and then the buck brush is a single reed. And a lot of people sleep on Buck Gardner because they think it is a beginner call, but I can assure you, obviously, I'm trying to be unbiased as I can. Like those things are pretty nasty. Like they'll run pretty good.
Well, and they're easy to blow. I mean, a lot of the high end calls that people are buying, like you really, really do have to know what you're doing in order to blow them. And I've tried that even with goose calls.
Right.
I can't. I mean, I can call pretty decent as far as my friend group goes, but if there's any like super serious waterfowl hunters around, they're probably like, dude, just keep your calls in your bag, But I've always liked the calls that blow easy. I'm like, I don't want to be working harder than I have to just to make the noise that the ducks need to hear. And I've loved Buck Gardner calls. I mean, I've had a bunch of different ones. I've actually hardly paid for any calls. I've found them or been given them, hand-me-downs, things like that. But I mean, that double nasty, I think that was probably the call that I started on as a gift from my uncle. He got me into waterfowl hunting, and he's like, dude, blow this. And I just started wailing on it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's, I mean, obviously its reputation, it's not for nothing. It is a legit duck call. And, today's the North American waterfowler, especially down here, I guess, the more south you get, it's cut downs. It's $150 duck call, and that's fine. And we'll kind of get into that here in a minute if you would like. But I mean, as far as like for people listening, if you blow a polycarbonate double reed and you like how it sounds and you're killing ducks, don't change anything. If it's working, I mean, don't break anything. Doesn't need to be broken.
Yeah,
it's working. Yeah. So that's what I'll say to that. But back to the 25th anniversary deal, we've got those. We actually got them in this morning. They were available for pre-order, and we've put out the sound file for the buck brush. Y'all can check that out on our Instagram. And first thing next week, we'll have the sound file for the double nasty, and those are all American acrylic. They have our 25th anniversary logo on them. Super nice. They are, the higher end duck call.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the market that it is now, is that people they're willing to pay that much. And I mean, all the stuff that goes into it. I mean, that acrylic itself is very expensive. Like, it's not like, oh, we're just ramping this price up because you'll pay. I mean, everybody, like, you're getting your materials, and especially now with all COVID stuff pushing everybody back and pretty much up against the wall as far as like getting stuff out.
Yep.
It's ramped up the price on everything. And so, like, back to our calls, it's tried, it's true. It's tuned in house. Like, I mean, it's done everything, engraved in here, and we have the capabilities to do all that. And it's, maybe there's a perception out there that we get all our stuff from China. That's not the case. I mean, there's obviously some components that we can get from over there that nobody here can do, or they can't do them for any reasonable price. But as far as like the duck call that you pick up, say at Academy or Bass Pro or something, like that is an American made duck call.
That's awesome. Tell me a little bit about what it's like working there. Cause I mean, in my mind, I think working at a big outdoor company like BGC, I feel like come late October, November, December, you guys have to be, everybody's probably trying to put time off in at the same time. Everyone's like, man, get me out of here. Or maybe you guys are smart and you hire a bunch of non-hunters just so that you have employees so that you all can go hunting.
Well, we have a mixture of both. There are, we have some incredible ladies that work here in our packaging and assembling and reception. So obviously they're not going to take off the duck hunt, but they've been here back when Buck was actually working in the shop. I guess I'll bring that up here in a minute. It's probably something everybody wants to know, but we have some incredible people that work here that have been doing it for a long time and know what they're doing. But there's definitely some of us that take off to go hunting. But as far as working in this, it's a lot smaller of an operation than people would probably think. We have a decent sized warehouse, but I mean, there's no more than 15 people working here. It's less than 15.
Oh,
And
wow.
it might be around 10. Yeah. So that's why I wear a lot of hats too. So.
Yeah, I can
But
imagine.
I mean, you hear a duck call or a goose call every single day, and it's just, for me personally, it's like, I started in March after duck season, and it's just like every day it's just like closer and closer, and I got to hear it all day. I can't stop thinking about it because my whole job is ducks or geese, and it's like, man, this is almost torture, but it's awesome. I love working here. I'm glad to be in the outdoor industry. It's what I wanted to do when I got my degree. I changed degrees because this was on my mind. I was working marketing for an outdoor company. So I'm kind of here now.
Yeah, that's awesome. I have yet to work for an outdoor company, but I mean, podcasting is the closest I've gotten. This is my passion, just sharing stories. I love to hunt everything. I mean, if it can be hunted, odds are I want to go and hunt it. I want to try the meat. I want to go on the adventures. And so this is kind of a dream for me. And hopefully at some point it fully pays the bills,
Oh yeah. I mean, and I've kept up with you even before I reached out to you about being on here. I was, working in the warehouse and packaging stuff, right, to ship out and stuff like that. And I was, looking for podcasts, and of course yours popped up because it's trending as much as it is now. And I gave you a listen. I was like, all right, this is going to be one of the ones I keep listening to. Man, honestly, it's almost kind of hard to find a good podcast now. Like it's that stays relevant to hunting and to sharing stories and stuff like that. There's some good ones out there, but some of the ones that I've listened to are so monotone. It's just like, I need something a little bit more upbeat to keep me moving. But yeah, kudos to you for such a good job that you've been doing with this, and the following that you've gotten on this. It's really incredible.
I appreciate that. My wife's like, you've got a great voice for podcasting. And I'm like, I hate my voice. Like, I can't believe anybody wants to listen to me talk. But yeah, I just enjoy chatting, and I've listened to podcasts for years, and they've always been hunting podcasts. And there were a couple that everyone recommended. They're like, man, get into this. And I won't name them, but I think the first couple episodes, they were just like almost down talking a hunter's role in conservation. And they're like, you can't call yourself a conservationist just because you buy a license or whatever. And I was like, whoa. Like, we need to back up a little bit. And that turned me off to that one immediately. I was like, listen, nobody needs to be on their high horse. Hunters are conservationists, whether or not they've got boots on the ground, like doing habitat work. Just the fact that they're purchasing the equipment, the supplies, the ammo, the guns, all of that goes back towards conservation. And so I told myself from the get-go that I was going to keep it real. I was going to talk to everyday guys that are passionate about what they do. And it's working out. People enjoy it. And it's fun to just talk to everybody about everything. I wish I could, I wish I had the time and the financial freedom to just have everybody on the show that reaches out, because I know everyone's got their own unique story and passion.
Yeah. Well, you keep it going. You might have time for all of them. That might be all you have time to do is podcast. Hopefully, like you said, it turns out to be what it is.
Maybe I'll set it up to where I can podcast like 6 months, and then I can take the whole hunting season off and not have to worry about it anymore. That'd be the goal.
That's where your head should be at right there.
Yeah. What's coming up for you guys there at BGC? What's new, and is there anything big you're working on right now, I guess, that you could actually share with people?
Yes, I mean, we don't have anything that, like, I would say it's just like top secret. I will go back to this. Buck Gardner himself is not, in-house right now, his age and stuff like that. Obviously it was, he still comes in, his voice is still very much heard here, and his way of going about doing things and his mission as far as stuff like that's still very much incorporated here. And everybody, if you knew Buck and heard stories of Buck, he loved introducing people to the outdoors, and he loved, actually being out there with the hunters and reaching out and doing community outreach and stuff like that. So none of that has changed. Obviously with the day and age we're in, moving forward with stuff, we're never going to get rid of our everyday duck call that we started out with and stuff like that. That's still our biggest thing here, and it will continue to be. But moving on with the trend of duck hunting now, we are going to be offering, like Buck used to do, and it was kind of lost in translation there for a little bit, I guess, but offering the high-end duck calls that are, like I said, everything's hand tuned here, no matter if it's polycarbonate or if it's acrylic, but the stuff that actually like you sand on and you're clipping reeds and cutting cork and stuff like that. Like we're about to start offering. I'm not going to tell you what we're about to offer, but we are about to come out with some new calls that, not a new version of something we have, but something completely new that nobody's heard or seen before. We're actually, hopefully, no promises, but hopefully going to release the new one November. We're hoping.
Nice.
But, like I said, with COVID and everything, pushing everything back and trying to get stuff from people and people trying to get stuff. I mean, it's just, man, it's hard. It's just been we're almost trying to bounce back. I would say not even bounce back, but, get back to making these higher end calls and stuff like that. And dang it, if we didn't try to do it when the world was almost ending, it feels like. But that's just the nature of what it is. And, we're fighting through it just like everybody else is. And, we're going to be, my plan, as the marketing guys, we're going to be back on top where Buck had it, 10 years ago, probably. Because the new duck hunter now, you saw a huge rise in duck hunters after the Duck Dynasty show.
Yeah.
And be that as it may, it's great for the sport. And everybody has their bad experience story of these new guys coming, setting up on top of you, stuff like that. But like you said, the hunters are the biggest conservationists. There's nobody else that's given as much money to the sport and to conservation than the hunter. So like, as far as like the new stuff, we've got, like we talked about earlier, the videos coming out this year that we're going to be filming for, going different places and filming. Because, Buck used to have his Foul Play TV show,
Yep.
or DVD. And so we're getting back into that. Not trying to be a competitor. We're trying to get into the podcast world ourselves. Nice. We haven't recorded an episode yet, but getting the equipment and getting the topics and people lined up, we're kind of in the middle of that now. Let me try to think stuff I might get in trouble for saying. Like I said, we don't have anything top secret, but we're not trying to reveal all the plans in the world. But new duck call and new goose call, hopefully before the end of 21. If it's not November, it will probably be 22. Just because like releasing one in the middle of season or late season, there's no good point in doing that.
Yeah.
But hopefully having videos and sound files and actually seeing these calls in people's hands hunting, stuff like that. That just, like we just put out a survey about some stuff, and seeing people in social media blowing duck calls and stuff like that, that's what drives a lot of people to buy. And so we've definitely ramped up the social media, well, more so than we ever have, really.
Yeah.
Posting more and engaging with people more. The social media, like, y'all go check us out on that. We can talk about that more in a minute, but we are trying to be up there where we should be, because we have the capabilities to be.
Yeah.
Like we are a small operation, as far as what people might think we are. But as far as the capabilities that we have, I mean, we have more capabilities than a lot of the guys that are just starting out, obviously, that are really doing really well. I'm not going to say any names, but I mean, these people are, nobody knew who they were, and they did a good job on social media. Now they're selling the fool out of duck calls.
Yep.
I mean, it's crazy, but and a lot of people are getting their calls, cut and turned and engraved, elsewhere and just selling them when we have the capabilities here to do all of that. So everything will be in-house. And the big thing for the North American hunter is American made.
Yep.
That's a big thing, and a big thing for us. We take pride in what we do. And that's one of the things we pride ourselves on, is making stuff in America.
Yeah. That's awesome.
That's what I hope to get people to understand. It's almost like we're trying to rebrand the name we already have, because it is a quality brand, but people get the notion that if it's not $150 call, it ain't gonna work. And that's just not the case.
Yeah. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I mean, a lot of today's hunting population, I guess, they just see a price tag, and if it's not if it's not in the top 50% of the prices, they're like, oh, it must not be good quality. And it's unfortunate that people have marked stuff up so much and have advertised it to make it sound that way. But I'm like, I use cheap stuff all around, and it's not cheap as in like poorly made. It's just cheaper price wise, because I don't have the money to go out and buy, a $5,000 camo wardrobe. I don't have the money to go and buy a $2,500 shotgun. And this is the stuff that's been around for years, and it's good quality. And there's a reason I'm still using a gun that was made back in 1970. You know what I mean? Because it works. Yeah. And I feel like it's the same with a lot of different products. Although other companies are charging more, it doesn't necessarily mean they're higher quality.
No, and kind of back to what I was saying about, still having Buck's motto and mission here is like, we're not getting rid of those, cheaper calls. He designed calls and made his price points for the everyday hunter that worked 5 days a week and only got to hunt on the weekend, or, that's not just isn't going to hunt 60 days out of the year. So he's going to buy what he needs to buy to kill ducks when he does go. And that was his mission. And we're still going to do that. But, following the market trend and stuff like that, we are going to get back into it, because our acrylic calls, like the higher end being the acrylic call, it just hasn't been really marketed or advertised. And well, we've got one of my favorite calls that we make that nobody knows about just because it was never promoted, and it's called the Slim Piece, and it is just a fantastic call, and nobody knows we really have it. And hopefully a lot of people rush to our website and try to get some of this stuff, but we are trying to build up our inventory. So I don't want to tell you that we'll be able to send this stuff out, or we've got all these color combinations, because we're not trying to rush things. I mean, that's kind of where you get yourself in trouble sometimes. You see that dollar sign of, oh, well, I can do this and do this and this and this, and you get yourself in trouble. We're focusing on the quality and the customer service, and we want to be, when we put something out, we want it to be best all around, quality, sound, whole 9 yards. So we're not gonna go rush something. Like I said, we got new stuff coming out, so we've got a timeline for things, goals we hope to achieve by a certain point. So
switching gears a little bit, I ask every guest this, and I just have to get your thought. If there was one animal like on your bucket list, it could be bird, it could be a certain type of waterfowl, or it could be like a big game animal. If there was one thing that it was like, this is your only thing that you can hunt that you haven't already done, what would it be?
Man, I'm tempted to say a black duck, but then again, like, you've got your harlequins and your king eiders up in Alaska and stuff. I would have to say a king eider would be just to be able to go in Alaska and feel that whole thing. I mean, I could probably just go to the East Coast and kill a black duck in like Maine or something like that. But I think a king eider would be my prize right there.
Yeah. I think the adventure going after a king eider would be worth it, even if you didn't get
Right.
to bring one home. You know,
Yeah.
hunting birds in different locations. I was talking with a guest not that long ago about this, and I got to hunt the Front Range of Colorado, and I have never in my life thought like, oh yeah, right in front of the mountains, there's going to be loads of birds. And the fact that we were shooting geese consistently with the mountains like 10 miles away. I mean, we'd take pictures with the birds stacked up, you know, after a hunt, and you just have the Front Range of the Rocky Mountains in the background. I'm like, this is crazy. And so thinking about that in Alaska, because Alaska is like the Rocky Mountains on crack, you know, I can't imagine being there, you know, shooting sea ducks and all sorts of different species. That'd be
I mean, that's a hunter's paradise up there. I mean,
yeah.
bear and moose and ducks. I mean, I think they got the emperor goose up there too, if I'm not mistaken. That's a very sought after thing. That would probably be that's probably in the top 5 next things I want to knock off my kill sheet right there. Be an emperor.
Have you printed off that poster that's got like every different species, and have you seen that? It's got all the different waterfowl species.
I want to say there's one hanging up here. I might be
Nice.
wrong. But no, I've definitely seen that. I don't have it at my house. I don't think. I have something with all the ducks on it, but there's one hanging up somewhere. I can't remember where it is.
I always thought about printing that off and like marking each species off as I take it. And then I was like, I'll probably be depressed 10 years from now when I've only added like 1 or 2.
Yeah. I mean, you really do like to go and knock off all these birds. You've got to travel.
Yeah.
I mean, being in the Mississippi Flyway, we've got a lot of different, you know, species, you know, as far as ducks and geese, I guess. I mean, we're not lacking very much, like the brant and the emperor goose, like, and then like obviously there's a few ducks that we don't get very often, but we're in a pretty good spot, you know, in the Mississippi Flyway, especially being in Tennessee where we're at right now. Like you've got Arkansas right there to the west of us, then Mississippi Delta, and then Reelfoot's right north of us. So it's a little good tri-state area to shoot ducks in.
Yeah, for real. I've got some friends that lived, trying to think where they were. They were in Tennessee. I think they were in Memphis, and they were part of a duck club there. And they were like, man, it's actually pretty killer over here. But the last couple of years, like you said, I think a good chunk of the country has just had a rough go as far as waterfowl hunting goes.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. You can go like a mile. If you go north and go a mile out of the city, there's ducks.
Yeah.
They kind of just, I think they probably just get down on the river and probably fly past or on the other side of, you know, the big city or something and go over, but there's ducks all over this place.
Yeah.
And you come into Memphis and you go downtown and stuff, you'd be like, you know, I'm in the city. There ain't no ducks, you know, anywhere close to me. And you can literally walk to a duck if you put your mind to it, walk across that bridge into Arkansas, and you're in duck heaven over there. So.
I wish they would just open up like urban duck hunting sometime. And I would travel the country just to hunt golf courses. Because it's like no matter what city you're in, you go to a golf course and there's birds everywhere. And they're so used to people. I'm like, then I'd reach out to like Benelli or Beretta or Browning or Stoger or whoever and be like, hey, listen, I need a single shotgun that looks like a 9-iron, you know, just walk around, pull it out of the bag.
Yeah. I actually had it was a good group of geese. Like I hadn't seen them grouped up like that in the church parking lot across from my house. There was at least 50 geese in front of that. They fly over every single morning. You just go from water to that church parking lot. What I wouldn't give to out the window, to, you know.
Yeah, that'd be kind of fun.
But it's also cool to see that. Like, yeah, I mean, just I guess that's just how passionate I am about it, man. Like, just to hear a resident, you know, golf course, church parking lot goose just go over me. I'm like, man, I wish I could get after you, but
yeah, I think it would be awesome if they opened up like an air rifle season for them. You know, in the city, you could just use a pellet gun or something like that. You could get all
Yeah.
camoed up like you're deer hunting, and you could just tuck away with a real silent air rifle and just kind of pick them off here and there and help the pest control. But it'd be
I'd go with a crossbow.
oh yeah.
Just sit there with a crossbow and shoot them out of the church parking lot.
Yep. Have you seen have you seen the Heartland bow hunter guys? I think they do a bow hunt from like just a makeshift blind on the edge of this field, and they bow hunt geese. They wait for them to land, and then they just
maybe it was that group or maybe it was somebody else. But yes, I've seen them bow hunting geese and like not even waiting until they land sometimes and shooting them at like, because they're right in their face and shooting them at like 10, 15 yards with the bow in the air. And I'm like,
yeah,
I couldn't afford that many arrows. I would never,
No.
I would never hit them. I mean,
Well,
I've seen them in the woods bow hunting for ducks in the timber. I can't remember. Maybe it was Kirk McCullough. I don't know if that was actually his video, but he said they used to do that. As far as keeping the pressure off a duck, they'd go in there with bows and they would shoot them. But I'm probably not that talented.
That gets
I
real
have a hard enough
expensive.
time with a 12 gauge. So
yeah.
yeah,
I've watched Tim Wells. He does a lot of bird hunting. He's shot doves and ducks and geese all with his bow out of the air. But yeah, that one video I saw, I think I found it on social media last year, and they were just straight up like in the woods, sitting on the ground. They had their bow in they had like the tripod that attaches to the bottom limb. They just had it set up, and they would call the geese inside the decoys, and they would just draw back and let them rip one after the next. And I was like, man, first you have the skill of just getting them to come in and land, and then you're having to shoot something smaller than a turkey with a vital area as small as a turkey over and over. And it'd be fun, but there's nothing like calling them in and blasting them with a shotgun.
Yeah. Like I said, I got into goose hunting a few years ago, but I'm by no means as good of a goose caller as I am a duck caller. And I'm not even, I wouldn't even say I'm good at duck calling just because like hearing some of these other guys, and I've been blowing duck call for a long time, but there's some guys that have been doing it and just have that natural talent to do it that are very, very good. That can put, all the voice inflection that they do into a call. And man, there's some pretty incredible duck callers out in this world today.
Oh yeah. I can only imagine. I mean, you're probably coming across some of the best being in the position you are. I don't know what ducks hear when I blow a call. They probably hear like, man, do not land. This is not the right spot.
I've never been on camera as far as hunting, calling ducks up until this year. I will be, but I'm going to be nervous to hear what I sound like. If we don't kill any and I hear what I sound like, I'll be like, well, I know what I'm doing wrong. But I mean, even our tuner, he's in our buck brush sound file. He's a pretty quiet guy. That man, he was trained under Buck, and that dude can blow a duck call like it ain't no tomorrow. He is so good at it. And it's very cool to listen to him. And he's just been doing it for so long. He's tuned millions of calls in this place. And I mean, that's not an exaggeration either.
Yeah.
That's no exaggeration. He really has. And being trained by Buck, Buck knew what he was talking about. And
oh yeah.
I'll never be anywhere close to where Buck was as far as blowing a duck call, knowing what to listen for, the correct stuff. Like, the dude was incredible.
Yeah. Do you guys have people that compete with your calls? Like, do you have like a team or any individuals that will go and do calling competitions?
Yeah, so I know for a fact a guy that was working here not too long ago, and he went back to I think he's getting his EMT. So props to him for that. Like that's pretty cool. But he blew competition for us. He was a pro staff as well. But not as much as we used to. And that's another thing that kind of our marketing plan for the future is that's included in there as well. I mean, being young and ambitious, I guess, like I am, I've got so many plans for Buck Gardner. It's not going to happen, in the next year just because it takes a while for some of this stuff to actually take place. But, I've got very high expectations and very big goals set for Buck Gardner. And the team that we have here now, we've got this thing going in the direction we want it to, and I'm very excited about the future here. And I think that, you know, Buck Gardner, I would say probably 5 years ago at the earliest, was a household name, and with the young generation of hunters we have now, it's not so much.
Yeah.
You know, they are going, you know, straight to the very expensive call, and they don't think Buck Gardner. And I would say in the next couple of years, with the efforts that I have in place, hopefully we're going to be a household name again.
Yeah.
People are going to, you know, when they think of a quality high-end duck call, they're going to think BGC.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Well, we're a little over an hour now, and I want to respect your time. But before we hop off, I want to give you an opportunity to share where people can find you, where they can find the products, website, all that information.
Yeah. So first and foremost, I started a Buck Gardner TikTok page, and I'm trying to grow that thing. As you
Nice.
know, being on TikTok, you know, it's like one video, you can hit it big, and then there it goes from there. I have not had that luck yet, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
we are actively posting on there and sound files and stuff like that. But y'all go check that out. And then our Instagram, Facebook, Buck Gardner Calls. You know, we're going to be the first thing that pops up. In our bio is a link tree that's got our 25th anniversary merchandise you can click on. Duck calls, goose calls, duck tips, goose tips, all that is in there. So you can find all that there. Like I said, we're actively posting on this stuff, sound files and new videos. And our 25th anniversary tribute video is up. So we've got a lot of cool content stuff coming out. You know, if you like seeing waterfowl content, hunting content, I highly encourage you to follow us, because we are actively posting on there some very quality stuff.
Nice.
And as far as buying a call, yes, our website. And obviously you can find them on like Amazon, Walmart Marketplace, stuff like that. But, you know, to get the personal touch, if you ever have any questions about any of our calls, like call up here, you know, email me, text me. I mean, day or night, I'll respond to whatever. But call up here and get in touch with me. My name's Zach. If you talk to the receptionist, she can answer most of your calls because she's been here for so long. She knows a lot about it. But, you know, anything that we can try to do to help you out, any questions you have, anything, just, you know, give us a shout and we'll do everything we can to help you out.
Nice. And then let's leave the listeners with one last tidbit of information, any advice, any wisdom, anything you want to share. This segment's called Emptying the Chamber, and it's your chance to just get a final word in.
Okay. Yeah. So like I said, I'm fresh out of college, and, you know, my dream was working in the outdoor industry, and I don't know, it just came to me in my sleep one night. I was like, this is what I want to do. But I encourage anybody that has that dream, pursue it. It doesn't matter what people tell you, what people, you know, if they say it's not going to work out. I mean, like I said, I started in shipping and receiving, and I'm still doing that. And I absolutely love what I do.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be anywhere else that I can think of. I mean, just if you've got a goal to work in this industry, go after it. I mean, I strongly encourage that, because this industry needs new faces and, you know, good people that are in it, because we do get a bad rep sometimes from some things that happen in our industry. And I just strongly encourage, if that's your dream, pursue it.
That's awesome, man. Well, Zach, I appreciate you taking the time to hop on the show with me. And I looked over at the clock and I was like, I can't believe we've been talking for an hour already. Like, it's always good. Time flies when you're talking hunting, fishing, any of that stuff. And so I do greatly appreciate you.
Yeah, I warned you I could stay here all night talking about it.
Yeah,
man, it was fun. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks for hopping on. We're gonna wrap this one up.